Hey, this is Steven from Steven's Classic Garage, and welcome to another update on the Mustang, my 1965 Mustang, kind of a budget restoration. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the current state of the vehicle and what's going on. So as you guys remember, the last video that I shot on this guy, I was talking about the Omni, which here is a new can of Omni. And here's the old can of Omni. And basically I was talking about my thoughts on Omni and the big issues that I've had with Omni. So I've shot Omni before on my dash with a TranStar Cubic Clear, and it was a black, and I was shooting over black primer. So I really didn't have too much problems with the coverage. But as you see, here's my my reset up trunk lid for painting again. This would be the third time that I've painted it. And you guys remember the last thing I had on it was the Omni. Now, if you guys remember, the first color that I shot was the Molten Red Metallic from Duplicolor Paint Shop, a really good budget clear. And then I shot it with the TranStar Lacquer Clear here, which is the gloss clear coat from also Duplicolor Paint Shop, they're both lacquer based paints. So my new plan was to try the Omni, and then I was going to shoot it with this Smart brand Euro, which all of this is over this primer here, which is a 5-star Extreme, which is kind of like an off-brand. A lot of brands use this. Same thing, because also this 5-star Extreme company, they also have a Euro clear that looks exactly like this can, has the same two VOC additions, has the same size clear, has the same mixture ratio between the catalyst and the clear, so I'm sure that they're the exact same product. But the 5-star Extreme has a way better data sheet than the Euro from Smart Shop. So, and here's the Smart Shop. But this is from Finished Masters in Monterey Road in San Jose. So if you're looking for something close to Euro, get 5-star Extreme. I can't exactly recommend it yet because I haven't shot it. But so far I'm a big fan of 5-star Extreme. So as far as their primer sealer black, epoxy and enamel, I believe, combination, high build primer, extremely high build, really nice stuff. That's what's on here right now. So basically what I did is I took the last coat of the Omni off because if you guys remember, I just couldn't get the coverage over these bare metal spots. Now obviously the main issue, which I told you, which I predicted, was that it was just not a very good coverage paint, and that is confirmed. That is definitely for sure. So basically if you guys remember, I took off the stuff for the lacquer. There was clear on the lacquer, so I have to give it that. So there's 4 base coats and 4 coats of the lacquer. And I didn't bother clear coating this last paint job because it wasn't very good. But when I took this off, it was way too easy to take it off. I put it in a rag. I just put some acetone in a rag because the Omni is actually reduced with acetone, which is more of a filtered acetone, which I'm using Advantage acetone there, 0 VOC reducer, and I believe that's a medium. So I just took some regular acetone out of a cheap can from Home Depot, put it in a rag, and I literally just did this with my hand. I just wiped it and it just came right off, right? But with the lacquer, and then that's been sitting. That was sitting for like almost a month on this panel. So it would have flashed off, everything would have been good, but again, there was no clear coat on it. Now with the lacquer, it sat on here for about a week, and of course it had clear on it. It had 4 coats of clear, but that, when I put the lacquer on it, it was so thick, I had to peel it off like Plasti Dip. That's how thick the coating was. And I've used less than I've used on the Omni. So here's how much I have left. And I shot about 4 coats of this guy. And this comes in a quart, and this is like 18 bucks. I've seen it for like 18 bucks all the way to $20, $21 if you get it locally. While the Omni, to get the same amount as this guy, the Omni is 25 bucks. See here, 25 bucks, and then the reducer The reducer is $10. So 25 bucks, and then reducer is $10, and then that will do a quart. So let's do half of the reducer there, so that's $5. So that's 30 bucks to get the same amount as this, 1-to-1. And obviously it doesn't go nearly as far as this. So I'm gonna say you probably need to use 2 of these to go just as far as this, right? Because I didn't even paint one side with a quart sprayable. It's just, it doesn't have enough coverage, and it just flashes off so much. So I'm going to say that each side would take an entire quart, nearly a quart. I mean, I got most of it. So you could probably, if there was no bare metal spots, and this finish was perfect. For example, you can't have anything like that. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of like a fisheye. Can't have anything like that on this panel, otherwise you'll see it right through that coat. You won't be able to see it from far away, but if you get close, you'll see it. And I sprayed almost 5 coats, I think, on it with that. So I think that that this Duplicolor has almost double. So I could paint here and bottom. So this is 30 bucks. So it's about 60 bucks. So this is about $20, but it's got about a $60 value compared to Omni. So obviously the big deal with Omni is you could pick your color. So I bought another can of Omni to try it again, but after I wiped it off, it's kind of really, turned me off of Omni as far as the reds. If you had a black and you're spraying with black primer, it'll be fine. But as far as red, turning it from black to red and having it have coverage, because it's literally like water in there. It's already pre-thinned, and if you look here, it says, oh, this one doesn't have it, but this one does. This one has the parts. Wait, there it is. The parts. It says violet, maroon, jet black, fine aluminum, which is the metallic, and then clear. And then a whole bunch of clear. So it's already pre-reduced, and then you reduce it even further. You're paying $25 per pint for that. So I'm not too happy on that. Obviously, pick your color. So that's a match for a 65 Mustang. This is just off the shelf, one of their selections. But I do like how it's lighter. So right now I need to decide between either running the paint shop and then run the urethane clear over top, or run this guy. But another thing is that I'm going to pay 3 times the amount of this. I'll pay about $100 to paint the whole car. This is about $300, and then I'm going to spray $100 clear on it. Right? I'm going to spend $330, almost probably even close to $400 to spray this, and then spray it with $100 clear. That doesn't quite make any sense. So what I've done in the meantime, because what my dad would really like to push is he wants this paint job to be really good. So he was thinking about maybe going halves on me on better paint than the Omni, or even another set of Omni, which I might do that. And he also wants me to find a paint booth to spray in. I might be getting something like that soon if I get access to some of that soon, but I don't know. Depends, and I'll have to talk about where that logic's coming from later. So in the meantime, I thought I would just work on some other parts. So here is some guide coat on the 2 front headlight buckets and the 2 caps for the rear. I don't know if I told you guys, but at one point I had a guy help work on my car, quote unquote help. We paid him he's a friend of one of my mentors that got me into cars, Tony, and he kind of screwed me over on the project where he didn't really pull out any dents. He just kind of filled them, and so I ended up he did the whole car, and I ended up taking all of it off and replacing the panels that were dented, the 2 quarters in the rear taillight panel that were dented just way to the extreme. So I went and I I didn't do a very good job. Basically, I sprayed these guys, and I noticed that the Bondo that he put on there is starting to bubble up. And if you see in there, it's got a fat dent on this pot aluminum piece. So I'm gonna have to deal with that. Possibly take it all the way back down and look at the Bondo that he put on there. And then this one here is looking okay, but this might also start bubbling, and as you see, it doesn't have any problems underneath. So, and then this one looks pretty good. This one looks pretty good. These are both originals. These are pretty rough, my actual bucket assemblies. This one's cracked here. And actually, I was messing around with one of these trying to straighten it out, and I actually ripped the eyelet off, and the eyelet's right there now. One of my original ones. But I was going to take these down to the shop and sandblast them. But now I need to decide whether I'm going to get some new headlight lenses. And then here is my GT back quarter panel. My back valance, rear valance. It's the original valance. It's got quite a bit of dents on there. Well, I basically shot it with this green because it had black primer underneath it, and obviously it's really hard to see Geico with black primer underneath it. So hopefully this green works a little bit as I was too lazy to go get white. So we'll see how that looks. So that's kind of the state that we're at right now on the Mustang. Also the Rabbit I'm going to eventually fix here as well. In 1 month I'm going to be graduating, so I'll have a whole bunch more free time. So this has been Steven from Steven's Classic Garage. Please stay tuned for more updates on the 1965 Mustang rebuild.